Well, it is great to reach out to you all again here with another devotional for you this week. I plan to continue to do these devotionals Monday through Thursday each week, just so that you can see me, you can hear from me, and just know that your pastor cares about you, that I'm thinking about you. I'm praying for you all daily, and also so that you can hear from God's Word, most importantly. Today, as I have been doing, I've been making my rounds around the church building. Today I'm actually in our sanctuary here at Seabury First Baptist, and you can see that around me. As you might be able to hear, and you've maybe heard in some of our previous videos, our church is located right next to some train tracks, so from time to time you might hear a train coming through, like right now. But this is our beautiful sanctuary here at Seabury First Baptist, and I just want to say that I miss you all. I am so ready for us to be able to come together and gather together here again in this sanctuary physically, and I long for that. It is going to be, when we're finally able to do that again, it is going to be such a joyous moment. It is going to be such a celebration. And I hope that this time apart that we have been forced to experience will deepen that longing in our heart to come together, to worship together. I hope that after this, I hope that we'll never have a Sunday where we might be tempted to think, I'm tired, I don't really feel like getting up, I don't really feel like coming to church today. I hope that this trial that we're all in right now will eliminate any thought of that. I hope that this will bond us closer together, and I'm confident that it will. As I said, I do have a devotional for you all today, and that devotional comes from John chapter 16. John chapter 16, and I'm going to read verses 31 through 33. This is Jesus speaking to the disciples, and this is what he tells them. Jesus responded to them, "Do you now believe? Indeed, an hour is coming and has come when each of you will be scattered to his own home, and you will leave me alone. Yet I am not alone, because the Father is with me. I've told you these things so that in me you may have peace. You will have suffering in this world. Be courageous. I have conquered the world." Now you read that and you hear that and you might think, wow, is Jesus talking about our current circumstances? It sounds pretty familiar to what we're going through right now. He tells the disciples, he said, "Indeed, an hour is coming and has come when each of you will be scattered to his own home, and you will leave me alone." That's, in one way or another, I think we've all experienced that over the last couple of weeks. We've been scattered to our homes. Many of us stuck in our homes, unable to go out, unable to do the things that we normally do, unable to go to some of the stores we normally visit, unable to go to some of the restaurants we normally visit. And so in a sense, it sounds familiar to what we're going through. But in this context, this is not what Jesus is talking about. He's not talking about our COVID-19 pandemic. But he's talking to his disciples, and he's describing to them what they are about to experience because of their faith in him, their faith in Jesus. But in a general sense, these things are still true for us today. And you notice that Jesus gives a promise, maybe an unusual promise. Normally when we think about promises from God, we think of positive things. We think of things that, uplift our spirits. And there's certainly many wonderful promises in the Bible. But notice this promise that Jesus gives the disciples, and by extension us. He says, "You will have suffering in this world." I mentioned Sunday in my sermon that we cannot control the circumstances of this world. We cannot control the things that happen to us externally. We live in a fallen world, and bad things happen. And sometimes terrible things happen to believers, happen to people who are saved. And we can't control those external circumstances. And in fact, Jesus tells us here, in this life, you're going to have suffering. It's not a matter of if you're going to have suffering. Jesus tells us in this life, in this world, you're going to have suffering. It's going to happen. And it's happening for all of us right now. I think each and every person in this world today is experiencing some form of suffering because of this pandemic, because of this virus. So many people are out of a job right now. You might be asking, how am I going to support my family during this time? How am I going to put food on the table? So many people are ill right now, battling this virus, not knowing if they're going to survive this. So many of our healthcare workers are experiencing anxiety right now, wondering, what if I catch this? What if I bring this home to my family? So many people are experiencing anxiety and sadness because of the isolation that they are having to endure, being cut off from people that they love so dearly, not being able to see them physically, face to face. So there is much suffering that is going on in our world today. And that shouldn't surprise us, because Jesus tells us here that it's going to happen. In this world, you're going to experience suffering. But notice what he says after that. In the last verse from this chapter, he says, "Be courageous. I have conquered the world." Just one simple verse. He says, you're going to have suffering, but be courageous, and here's why. I've conquered this world of suffering. I've conquered this world of sin and death. This is Holy Week. We're looking forward to Easter Sunday this Sunday. And as I said on Facebook earlier, we can't be together physically this Sunday for Easter, but that is not going to stop us from celebrating a risen Lord. But this is what we celebrate every time we gather together, not just on Easter, but every Sunday. This is what we celebrate. We celebrate the fact that we have a King who has conquered this world. You're not going to get a more uplifting message than that from the government. You're not going to get a more uplifting message than that from health officials. What greater news to hear today and every day than this? Jesus has conquered the world. He is on his throne. He is ruling and reigning. And yes, there is suffering in this life. And it may be tempting to think, is he really on his throne? Has he really conquered the world because of all this suffering that is going on around us? But he's told us this is going to happen. But a day will come. A day will come when Jesus sets everything straight. When he's going to wipe away every tear. And we will be with him. We will see him as he is. But he's on the throne right now. And he wants the disciples to know. And by extension, he wants each and every one of us to know that we can be courageous, because we serve a King who has conquered the world. I want to tell you all again that I miss you all. I was so excited coming here, and we had our first Sunday with me here as your pastor at Seaver First Baptist Church. And I was full of so much energy, so eager to get rolling with everything we had planned here. But the Lord has put that on hold for a time being. And that's okay, because we're going to come back from this. And I'm confident that we're going to come back from this stronger than we have ever been as a church family, with a renewed passion for each other, to love and care for each other, with a renewed passion to come to church, to worship together, and with a renewed passion to reach the lost. This whole situation really shows us how fragile life is. It is truly a vapor, just as the scriptures tell us. And we don't know how much time we have. And there's a world out there that is lost and is on its way to hell. And Jesus has given us the task to tell that world that Jesus saves, that he's conquered this world. And that's what we want to do. That's what I want to do. That's my vision for this church, that we might tell Seabury, we might tell all of Webster County, we might tell everyone we can that Jesus saves. He's conquered the world. We want people to know that. And because of that, we have hope today.